So, since my last podcast, I actually have started with a personal trainer, and I've been working my ass off. And I mean literally working my ass off. I mean, I think a couple of inches escaped. Anyway, it's just so interesting, even thinking about this process and going through it, because I'm still a little afraid of what I'm gonna get in the end. It's like today, I was uh, I was on a train today, and this woman sees me, and I go and I sit next to her, and as usual, every winter it ends up being this way, and she looks at me like I'm taking up so much of her seat, and I look back at her, and I'm like, no, it's just like, you know, and the thing is that the guy next to her has his legs wide open. And if you've ever been to New York City, you know the seats are not very big. So I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't she just, like, obviously he's the problem. In my eyes, the way I see it, he was the problem. Because his legs were wide open, he had no consideration. And of course, instead, she blames me for it. Because I somehow am taking up so much of her seat instead of actually just telling him, can you please move over? And I go through it every winter, nonstop. And it's just realizing how superficial it is. How much you actually have to go through in order to realize. It's like every winter I get looks at me. I get people who are surprised at the stuff that I do, the fact that I go to school, the fact that I work a job. It's like, oh, like they look at me like I'm supposed to just stay home and not do anything. I'm supposed to just stay home and be fat. That's basically the stereotype of fat people, that they just, they don't go out there. They just stay home all the time. That's the reason why. So I kind of wanted to kind of rant about that a little. So I apologize. It's a bit of a rant. I mean, I'm working so hard to become the flip side, to see how it is to be on the other side. And sometimes looking at the other side as they look at me, I don't know if it's worth it. And it discourages me. Like, I just spent 2 hours at the gym. And I was working out, losing calories, I'm exhausted. And all I could think about is, I walk through the gym and people are looking at me like, wow, I'm so happy that I'm not her. Or, I'm somehow making them feel better about their superficial 10 pounds that they have to lose. And I'm like, just keep going, just keep your mind on it, keep going, just see the goal and go and get it. Just do what you have to do, go and get it, like everything else that you do in life. And because that's the way I approach everything else in life. I approach everything else like I'm going to do it, and that's it. That's what this whole project is about. Just going out and making a decision and doing it. And I'm just so tired of the stigma. I'm tired. You know what? Not all fat people are lazy. Not all fat people are this or that or have problems, with these other. It's all different. We all have different stories. We all have different reasons. And I'm tired of people mistaking me for someone else. And then I look at the other person and they look nothing like me except for the fact that they're fat. It's like, not only is it that we're lazy, but we all look alike too. We're all butterballs to everyone. And I'm like, that's not true. We're actually different in a lot of different ways. I've just had some really good friends in my life, and I see the trouble that people have not really knowing what their friends are about. And I tell you, I know instantly a superficial person, because superficial people wouldn't be my friend. That's just the plain fact. If they had to look at me, they wouldn't be my friend. And I've actually lived behind that wall of being comfortable with that, knowing that I know who my friends are, knowing that there's no distinction, that's it. You're either my friend or you're not my friend. Going to my friends and seeing their boyfriends and realizing in 10 minutes I can tell you if he's a jerk. Because if he's a jerk, he'll treat me like crap. That's just basically the fact. If he's superficial, I'll know it right away because he's going to look at me like crap. And I don't necessarily tell girls, oh, well, he treated me like crap, so just don't go out with him or whatever it is. But I make a note of it in my mind. And every day I see these people that just walk by and they just take it for granted. They just, they eat and they're just like, and I wish I could disappear. I really do. I wish that they didn't notice me. But they always notice me. The moment I walk on the train, they notice me. The moment that I turn around, they notice me. And I'm just like, and it's the same reaction. And I used to think that it was just me, maybe. And who knows? I'll get thin and maybe they'll still look at me. Maybe that's just a plain fact. Maybe they're doing it because I'm Latin. But I doubt it. I'm just really tired. I am not trying to be a downer on this podcast because I really do want to do this. I may need some emotional stuff, so feel free to leave a comment because I may actually need it. But it just reminded me as to the reason why. I remember the moment I gained a lot of weight. My family had moved to Virginia and we were alone being out of New York. And really, there was nothing. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get anything. I felt outcasted. I felt like I was this odd one out. And we moved into a part of Virginia that was actually still was in segregation times. So that didn't help. And so all I did was stay in the house and it just gathered up. It just kept gathering up because going out was a hardship, And my brothers and sisters were darker, they're dark skinned than me, and living in a very racist area was not a good thing. Not all of Virginia is racist, but this part of Virginia was. And I had to constantly stay in the house just to feel protected. And if I went for a job, there was nothing. And it just became real. It became true. And it's just that, the food never said no. The food never judged me. And the food, I wasn't alone. And I was eating. I felt like finally something gave me something. And it was the only thing that I could do to sedate myself from how unhappy I was. And we only stood there for a year. And it really was literally the saddest year of my life. And I guess the most damaging. And, sometimes that's how it happens. Sometimes it only takes a year for you to get big. And you can be active all the other years in the future. And it's just hard losing the weight from that point for that year. It just builds up. And I wish people could I wish I didn't have to prove myself all the time. I wish I didn't have to sit there and have people look at me and prove to them that I'm an active person, that I actually want to do something with my life, that I'm I could do this. I can go. I go to a job interview, and I remember it was actually here in New York. And I remember the woman looking at me in the interview because it was from a restaurant, and I wanted to be a waitress because waitresses are very active, and at the time I wanted a very people person job. And she looks at me and she's like, she kind of looks at me up and down. And she's like, I don't think, she goes, it could be me, but I just don't think waitressing is the job for you. She goes, you're more of a hostess. And right now we're not hiring a hostess position. Anybody for the hostess position. And I didn't get that job. And I realized that, yeah, there are people in the world who say that there are people who are biased against fat people. It's true. It is. People automatically assume I'm not going to work. They automatically assume that I'm lazy. They automatically assume that I may have an attitude and I'm bitter for being fat or whatever it is, or maybe for being Latin. I don't know. But people make assumptions. They peg me. They say, this is what you are. So be that. Because that's what I think you are. I just want people to see me for me. And I guess that's what the whole weight loss thing is. It's a kind of, but then again, I feel like taking off these these weight, and having people see me for me is going to leave me vulnerable, because it's like, I won't know if they're real or not. I won't know if they really want to be my friend, or I'm superficially good to them to be in their circle. And that's pretty sad. And I feel bad for people who have to go through that. I feel really bad for people who don't know if their friends are really friends of theirs. Anyway, this is becoming really long. And I'm still working out. Pretty soon I want to do one. I'll probably put some footage of me working out. As delightfully beautiful as that is. And good night. And I hope everything's fine. And if you want to read my blog, please go to projectretouch.com. That's my website. I have my blog posted on there. And I hope you visit. And usually I update that a little bit more than I update this. So please feel free. Okay. Bye.